Hey guys, Saki here from Saki Tech. In today's video, we will do a full comparison between the Samsung Galaxy Tab S2 9.7 inches versus the Samsung Galaxy Tab S 10.5 inches. Now, just to give you a perspective, the Tab S was released back in July 2014, and a little over a year later, we have the Tab S2, released in August 2015 as the successor. In this video, we will do a deep dive into the specifications of both these tablets and then determine just how prominent this updated S2 is and whether or not you should upgrade from the Tab S to the Tab S2 or perhaps decide between the two as a first-time buyer. So let's dive in and start off with the design and build. Now, while the Tab S is by no means an ugly tablet, nor does it feel cheap in your hands, the Tab S2 will simply give you a more premium sensation when you hold this device in your hands. There are three things I want to go over specifically as far as the build and design is concerned. Now, first and foremost, the frame that surrounds the edges of the Tab S is plastic, whereas the frame that surrounds the edges of the S2 is metal, which is largely responsible for the higher build quality and the increased premium sensation you will get by the S2. Secondly, the back cover for both tablets is plastic and offers an excellent grip, which to me is very important because the sense of security you get from holding an expensive device which you know won't just glide out of your hands is very reassuring. So both tablets offer excellent grip due to the plastic in the back. And although the back covers are plastic, there's a difference in the way the back covers feel. The Tab S has a perforated texture and it is lightly harder to touch, while the Tab S has a softer feel to it. Just by being softer, it feels more premium, much like when you enter a car and you are faced with hard plastic parts that denote cheapness versus the soft touch materials that denote luxury. Thirdly, the Tab S2 has an entirely different aspect ratio of 4:3 and a natural portrait orientation, whereas the Tab S2 has a wide screen aspect ratio of 16:10 and a natural landscape orientation. This is definitely a design change, but we are now stepping into the territory of the display and the resolution, which I will be talking about in a minute. Now back to the build quality and design. In totality, I'd hand the crown to the Tab S2 as far as the premium sensation and in-hand feel is considered. As for the actual design in relation to how the tablet looks, that is going to be a subjective matter, and I will leave that up for debate. To each his own. You may like the aesthetics of the Tab S, while someone else prefers the Tab S2. So let's move on to the processor, memory, and storage options. So the Tab S2 has an Exynos 5433 octa-core processor, and as you know, octa stands for 8, so that's 8 total processing cores. 4 of those cores are clocked at 1.9 GHz and the other 4 are clocked at 1.3 GHz. 3 GB of RAM and 32 GB of internal storage for the base model, and also a micro SD slot that allows you to add an additional 128 GB of storage. In comparison, the Tab S has an Exynos octa-core 5420 processor. Again, we have 4 cores clocked at 1.9 GHz and 4 cores clocked at 1.3 GHz. We've got 3 gigs of RAM, 16 gigabytes of internal storage for the base model, and a micro SD slot that allows you to add an additional 128 gigabytes of storage. Now, as you can see, not much has changed here except for a better processor and increased storage capacity on the base model. Now, I will be doing a processor, memory, and graphics benchmark comparison at the end of the video to see which one is faster, or rather how much faster the S2 is than the S. So stay tuned for that. And now let's take a look at the dimensions and weight, and next up we'll look at the screen size and resolution. So dimensions. The Tab S2 is 237.3 millimeters high, 169 millimeters wide, and 5.6 millimeters thick, and it only weighs 389 grams. The Tab S measures 247.3 millimeters high, 177.3 millimeters wide, and 6.6 millimeters thick, and it weighs 465 grams. Now clearly the new S2 is lighter and smaller than the old S. And although Samsung specially highlights weight as part of their marketing campaign, in my opinion, this isn't a breakthrough feature at all, since Tab S already feels so light at 465 grams. But if weight indeed was a concern for anyone, now you can be rest assured that you will get an even lighter tablet. The win does go to the Tab S2 here, purely based on numbers. Alright, so let's talk about the screen size, resolution, and pixels per inches. So the Tab S2 has a 9.7 inch screen with a resolution of 2048 by 1536, which brings the pixels per inches to 264, where the Tab S has a 10.5 inch screen with 2560 by 1600 in resolution and 286 pixels per inches. Now there is a rather drastic change here. We actually have a smaller screen and a slightly lower resolution, which also translates to a slightly lower PPI on the Tab S2, which is supposed to be the newer device. But that's not what's drastic. What's drastic is that the 16 by 10 widescreen aspect ratio on the Tab S has been ditched and replaced by a new 4:3 aspect ratio such as the iPad Air. Now, which according to Samsung makes it comfortable to read digital content, including ebooks, magazines, web pages, and news feeds. This reading optimized ratio allows the user to enjoy seamless reading experience without unnecessary scrolling. That's what Samsung says. So just to be clear, this 4:3 is perfect for reading and browsing, but not as great for watching movies that are largely recorded for widescreen displays. So if you are an avid movie watcher on your tablets, you may be better off with the 16 by 10 widescreen aspect ratio. And don't forget that you are losing some screen real estate by going to the Tab S2, as it has the smaller screen. Finally, both displays offer Super AMOLED technology, but rest assured, the Tab S2 will offer slightly deeper contrast and a little bit more detail than the old Tab S, even though the Tab S still has a brilliant screen. For a consumer, the enhancements in screen quality should not be a game changer, but the aspect ratio seems to play a more important role in that regard. Remember, with the new Tab S2, you get a natural portrait orientation, and this is how you will be holding your device as opposed to the old Tab S, which you would be holding in wide screen mode. So let's dive into the software. Both of these tablets are running Android with Samsung's TouchWiz interface. Therefore, by default, you get all the perks of an Android system, which means extensive customization and personalization tuned to your personal sense of style. You can change the background, add live widgets, rearrange app icons and widgets as you please, find and install custom lock screens and custom launchers, and all that good stuff. One big difference is that the Tab S by default comes with HandCom Office, but the Tab S2 comes pre-installed with Microsoft Office. In my opinion, the latter is more desirable since Microsoft Office has a larger footprint in the world. Other than that, it's really hard to make a distinction between the S2 and the S in software because largely they are the same. So since there isn't much to distinguish, let's highlight some cool points that apply to both these tablets. These tablets are great for split screen multitasking, meaning you can have two separate windows running side by side, and you can actually transfer information from one window to the other, such as transferring text or pictures. Multitasking is simply a great tool. Further in multitasking, you can also minimize apps and resize them. Simply pull down from the top of the screen on any compatible app and it scales down. You can interact with these apps just the way you do with full screen apps, but with the added flexibility of being able to scale the apps, minimize them, and move them around. Also, you can have up to 5 of these running simultaneously. And also something interesting is the feature called Side Sync, which allows you to mirror your Samsung cell phone right on your Samsung tablet. Once you set Side Sync up, your entire Samsung cell phone can be mirrored right on your tablet, and you can control your phone through your tablet, even to make calls or just about anything else. Finally, I want to make something clear. There is something inherently smoother about the Tab S2's software experience. There is less stutter and less lag overall, which denotes a more stable software experience. Now, that's not to say the Tab S is bad in any way, but the Tab S2 does feel more fluid. And that's it for the software. So let's take a look at the camera and the video capabilities. Now, both these tablets have an 8 megapixel camera on the rear and a 2.1 megapixel on the front. There are some subtle differences. The old Tab S actually has a built-in LED flash for the rear, which doesn't come with the Tab S2. However, the Tab S2 can now record 1440p video at 30 frames per second as well as 1080p at 60 frames per second, whereas the old S is only able to record at 1080p at 30 frames per second. Just one thing to remember here is that 1440p is not 4K, so the Tab S2 does not record in 4K, it records in 1440p if you want it to. 4K is a higher resolution than 1440p. Now let's take a look at the battery. Both of these tablets feature non-removable batteries. The Tab S2 has a battery capacity of 5,870 mAh and the Tab S has a 7,900 mAh battery. Though there is a big difference in terms of battery capacity and the older Tab S seems to lead in numbers, we do have numerous software enhancements on the Tab S2 that will offer longer battery life despite the smaller battery. Expect the battery to last a full day for medium to moderate use on the Tab S, and with the same token you will get a full day and a half on the Tab S2. By the way, when I say medium to moderate use, I mean a combination of web browsing, reading, playing a game for an hour or two, watching some YouTube videos for a couple hours and such. If you don't game too much on your tablet and watch very little movies, you will get much longer battery life. So surprisingly, the winner is the Tab S2 in this category, and probably the reason is that the smaller screen on the S2 pushes lesser pixels, which translates to battery savings. Plus, of course, the software enhancements that come with every new generation of tablets. Now, as for color options, you can get the Tab S2 in white and black and even in gold in some markets, whereas the Tab S, you can only get it in bronze or white. And of course, I want to talk about the fingerprint sensor. Now, the one on the Tab S2 works much better than the S model. First of all, you can simply touch the sensor and it unlocks the device seamlessly with a 99.9% accuracy every single time. On the other hand, Tab S's fingerprint sensor requires you to slide your finger from top to bottom over the sensor and oftentimes doesn't recognize your fingerprint until you swipe it several times, which honestly is a cause of frustration. A fingerprint scanner should work flawlessly and the Tab S2 gets it right. So in this category, the S2 is a clear winner. And finally, let's do a benchmark of these tablets and see which one produces more horsepower. Now, we will be using the Geekbench benchmarking tool, a very reliable benchmarking tool to measure the processor and memory performance and analyze the results right after. So let's dive in and start the benchmark. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure nothing is running in the background. So let's go to the multitasking tab and close everything that's running on both these tablets. So end all. And let's just do the task manager as well on the Tab S and click end on YouTube. And now we have two clean slates. So let's launch Geekbench 3. I'm going to run the benchmarks. I'm going to fast forward to the end so we can look at the results immediately. And there we have it. The Tab S2 comes in first. It doesn't take a genius to interpret these numbers. As you can see, the Tab S2 is faster, especially in the multi-core performance is almost 40% faster than the Tab S. Let's say we have an overall 30% increase combining the single and the multi-core scores, which is not bad at all. So let's recap some key points in relation to improvements on the Tab S2. And I'll be honest, you really aren't getting a huge upgrade here in case you want to upgrade. All you're getting is a tablet with a faster processor, higher internal storage options for the entry-level model. You get 32 gigs to start off instead of 16 gigabytes and a fingerprint sensor that actually works. Otherwise, you get the same camera, same amount of memory, same storage expansion capabilities, and a similar software experience. As for the screen, there is a slight improvement in quality, but the bigger change is the aspect ratio, which we talked about in detail already. So there's no pressing need to upgrade unless you are a technology enthusiast that simply wants what's latest on the market. Otherwise, Tab S will serve you really well for a while. Now, if you're a brand new buyer and you're trying to decide between the two, obviously go with the newer product unless you want to save money by benefiting from the natural price markdowns that the older Tab S will inevitably have. So that is my conclusion. Well, thank you for watching this video, guys. Make sure to to subscribe to my channel for more videos to come, and do not forget to stalk me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, for which all the links are down below. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, any input, just drop them down in the comments below, and also finally hit that thumbs up button and have a great day.